Hey guys, and welcome to the SAP Super Summit. We're now on to our 1 p.m. speaker, which is Peru Sankar from SAP. Now, Peru will be discussing how SAP and SuccessFactors together help to attract, find, engage with, and select the right candidates while retaining in-house talent. So, Peru, are you online? Hello, Peru.
Hello, yes, I'm on. Hello, yes, I'm online.
Fabulous. If you could put a bit of oomph into your voice, that'd be fantastic. As I've said, we've had a few audio problems. So throughout the presentation, if you could keep your voice up, that'd be fantastic for the attendees. We've got a lot of people online today. Just to recap for those of you who have just joined, we've put together the SAP Super Summit because a high proportion of our consultants, of our clients, they would like to go to the SAP Summits, which exist around the globe. But unfortunately, in Europe, we find it very difficult to bring together the best speakers into one domain on one day without traveling a long, long way. So what we've done is we've brought together 10 of the top speakers on SAP from around the globe, and we feel very honored they've agreed to speak with us today for you guys. So this presentation now will last for 1 hour. Peru will be talking for approximately 45-50 minutes on her topic, and then following that we'll have questions. So throughout the presentation I'm going to mute the attendees. By all means, do ask questions along the way, and our moderator will respond. Any pertinent questions we'll put to Peru at the end. And with that said, Peru, I'm going to pass control over to you. So we should see your screen pop up in the next few seconds. And once we can see your screen, I'm going to mute myself. Okay?
Okay, sounds good. Can you hear well?
Okay. Yeah, I think the screen's just about to pop up now. Bear with me 1 second. There we go. Perfect. Okay, Peru. Well, I'm going to leave you to work your magic now. So we'll speak to you. We'll speak to you shortly.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sahid. So I'm Parvati Shankar, Paru. I'm the solution owner for talent acquisition in SAP, which includes recruiting products from SAP as well as SuccessFactors. Today, I'm going to be speaking a lot about the trends in finding quality employees by reaching out to talent. So I will focus more on the attract, find, and engage part of the recruiting process, and give just a short overview of the select part that is provided by SAP and SuccessFactors together. Before we jump into the recruiting itself, I just want to look at the scenarios which have changed in the market itself as well as in the industry. People and culture have changed today. And if you have a look at what has been happening in the industry, you will see that the internet penetration rate has gone up in the last 12 years. If you look across the geography, you can see a very high increase in rate of the internet usage. And this is something that has changed the whole life of employees, as well as the talent out there, habits of people, and the whole aspect of finding the right people for your organization from a company perspective as well. So keeping this in mind, we also take a look at what are the other things that have changed, what else has technology changed. Internet has brought in social media. Besides that, the whole aspect of carrying your mobile all the time has also become a habit, a part of life. It's almost like breathing. When I wake up in the morning, I wake up to the alarm, and that alarm comes nowadays from my mobile, not from my clock anymore. Sometimes my husband does ask me, okay, maybe it's time you stop looking at your BlackBerry. So these are some of the challenges that have changed in life, and this is something that the companies can take advantage of as well. From the social media perspective, network becomes extremely important. You have Facebook, you have Twitter. Chris just talked a lot about the social media aspect. So with all this in mind, the way we reach out to people, the way we have relationship with people have intensified. The personal touch has not gone away, but you can reach out to people far away, far and wide, to your network, to people you have met before, to people you have had relationships with before in a much better way. You can also not just reach out to people you have had relationship with before. You can even follow people like thought leaders and so on Twitter. You can understand the different thoughts of the people around the world. You can see what their areas of expertise is. So that has also changed habits. I don't know how many of you have taken a pen and written on a paper a long essay anymore. It is a lot of people are getting comfortable with the 140 characters on Twitter nowadays. Paper resumes are becoming obsolete. A lot of people are maintaining social profiles on the website and keeping that up to date, wanting people to understand what they are about. That's a snapshot of my LinkedIn profile, and that has the up-to-date information about what I'm doing. What am I interested in? What are the topics I'm interested in? What are the companies I'm interested in? What are the companies whose news I want to follow? What are the companies whose jobs I want to follow? And this actually helps the companies to capture the interest of the employees out there, of the people out there, and understand exactly which are the topics they are interested in. Are they interested in things that affect my company? Another aspect is collaboration. What I have over here is a snapshot of the SAP Jam. Collaboration is also forming a big part in the way people are working today, not just in the personal life, but also at workplace, working with teams, exchanging ideas with teams, making sure information is available, giving feedback on real time. These are some of the aspects that are also affecting the way people are working and the way people are living and the way people are feeling happy about the way they are working as well. And finally, I mentioned mobile already. Whether it is checking weather, checking emails, calling people, texting people, watching videos, taking pictures, everything is on one device nowadays. And you can do all these with one device. So where are we going with all this? How are the companies trying to utilize all this? And how are we as a technology company helping the organizations to utilize this to the best of their advantage? That is what I will talk about today. A Cisco survey, social media survey of millennials are coming into workforce in a very strong way, asked them a few questions. And some of the findings were 2/3 of the people will ask about social media during job interview. One thing that's very prevalent in Europe is also the fact that a lot of companies are a bit worried about opening out their networks, to opening out the internet and to having people work with the internet and so on. However, what we need to understand today is people are out in the website, they are out in the social media, they are out in the search engines doing their normal work, doing their private related aspects of work. So in order to find all these people, we need to be savvy about, as an organization, also about social media. 56% will not take a job from a company that bans social media or that work around the ban. 1/3 will prioritize social media access and mobility over freedom over salary, and 41% will say their company marketed their social access device and social media policy to recruit them. So people are finding talent out in the market through social media or through search engines or through the internet. And when we think about what I said in the beginning about how the internet uptake has been, this is something that we as organizations cannot ignore. 68% believe corporate devices should be used for social media as well as personal use. Why? Because people don't want to carry multiple devices along. As I mentioned, everything has come into one device. Why would people start carrying two different devices together? 50% would rather lose their wallet or purse than a smartphone. All the numbers are stored in the smartphone. Sometimes even passwords are stored in the smartphone. So it's quite dangerous nowadays to lose the smartphone. A lot of virtual working has also started, perhaps not so much in Europe as much as in the US, but that is also becoming quite prominent in Europe as well. So keeping all this in mind, we think about, okay, what are the other challenges that company faces in spite of what is happening outside. There is the issue of retaining talent. If the talent is not able to grow within a company, if the talent is not able to make an impact in the company, they look for other opportunities. Why? Because there are many other opportunities out there. There are many organizations out there today, and these organizations are also able to attract talent. As a result, critical roles fall vacant. And in order to fill the critical roles quickly, the company needs to adopt itself to enable that you're able to attract enough candidates to fill difficult roles. You can not only need to attract the volume of candidates, you not only need to attract the best of candidates, you need to find that needle in the haystack, because there are so many candidates out there. Unemployment has been on the rise, and as a result, there are many candidates out there looking for jobs. And among all these candidates, you need to find the right person with the right skills, with the right match of culture to fulfill your organization's requirements, and who will be happy staying with your organization, because retaining talent is also an important aspect. And finally, once you have attracted this candidate, you also need to ensure that this candidate stays with you until you are ready to fulfill all the recruitment related processes and you are ready to give him an offer. Maybe you have many candidates you need to screen, and throughout the screening process, you need to engage with the candidate to ensure that the candidate stays with you and also finds the right kind of messages from you to understand the company as well very well. You have the candidate in, but do you know as an organization from which part of your marketing reach the candidate came from? And do the successful candidates come from a job board or from the career website, or which other part of your recruiting process is the most successful? Which source is your most successful source today? So with all this in mind, we need to think about how can tools help the companies to do exactly these aspects. But before we jump into the tools, we need to think about what kind of candidates exist out there and how can we attract these candidates. As I mentioned, it's becoming a networked world. There are networks not just for the people inside the company, there are also networks for people outside the company. So as a company, you have employees in the company, employees have friends, and those friends have friends. So, and among all this talent out there, there are people who look for jobs actively, and there are people who are just thinking about moving, who might have just started thinking, okay, I'm maybe not that happy in this job. So they might start looking either within the organization or outside of the organization for jobs, perhaps starting first within the organization and then moving out of the organization. Again, as a part of the retention, maybe you will want to consider, okay, what are the opportunities I can give to my employees inside the organization before they start looking outside? So not close down all the different walls that might help them to find the right opportunity inside the organization. Then finally, there are those people who will be very happy in the job, and hopefully we have more of those inside the organization. But there are those people also existing outside of the organization who we want to attract towards our organization, who are happy with the job, who are doing well in their jobs, and who have not yet started thinking of the job. And using all the different networks that you have close to your company, you want to reach out to them and help them to be convinced to move to your organization and give them the right kind of comfortable feeling about your organization and the opportunities within the organization. So which are the different places where you can find all these people, whether they are actively looking for a job, or whether they have just started looking for a job, or whether they are people who need to be convinced to move. If people are actively looking for jobs, they would go to job boards, maybe to a Monster or to a DICE or any other job boards which are relevant for the country you are in. If you are in India, it could be Naukri.com. If you are in the US or Germany, it could be Monster. And they would start mining for the kind of job that they are looking for. So if I'm looking for a management job, I would start looking. Perhaps if I'm actively looking, I would go to a job board and try to find a job. Another aspect to reach out to these candidates might be, I hear about this through some campaign that has happened. Maybe it is a print campaign through some magazines, or perhaps it is a kind of university campaign if I'm a student. And the company comes to the university and engages with the students actively doing a marketing campaign of the different opportunities that exist. Perhaps it's a campaign online. Maybe I have found this job, this campaign, maybe they have targeted me as a woman and they have done a campaign. But I would find it quite easily because I'm looking for a job in the company and I'm looking for a job in a particular industry that is woman friendly. And with this campaign, I would reach out to the job that matches with my capabilities. Career sites and another place. When I moved to Germany, one of the career sites I visited was the SAP one to find the appropriate job. And that's another place where I, as an active person looking for a job, went to. But if I'm a passive person who's not looking for a job, in that case, I wouldn't visit career sites that often, and I would never go to a job board because I'm not looking for a job at that moment. Social media is the time when it's one of those mediums which reaches out to me even if I'm not looking for a job, because I might be in Twitter, I might be in Facebook quite often, and some of the people I follow on Twitter might have an opening in their organization which they might tweet, and I will see it even if I'm not looking for a job. Facebook is another aspect. A lot of my friends work in different organizations, and they might have jobs that are open, and they would want me to take a look at this job, and it could reach me. I might be following another company on Facebook. I follow my previous company on Facebook, and just to see, okay, what is the interesting thing happening in that company? And that is another channel that companies could use to reach out to those people who need to be convinced to move, who need to have jobs made visible to them because they are not actively looking for those jobs. Search engines are another place. I might be searching just for information about a company, about a partner, perhaps about Accenture. And when I search, if I get as a search result a job, in that case, might get curious and click on that search result. So that curiosity could also be appealed to, and then you might find as a person, even if I'm not thinking about moving, but I might see something that makes me curious, click on it, and think about it a bit more, and then move on to find the job. Finally, network. Network is a very strong aspect to finding a job. Getting a referral job from my network makes me believe that I would perhaps be fitting into that job much more than something that I would find on a Google and so on. If a friend of mine refers a job to me, I trust that he would only refer jobs that fit my profile, and as a result, I would take a look at that job first before I take a look at any other job. Similarly, from the other side, from a company perspective, employees will only refer jobs to those people they believe can do well in the organization because they do not want their reputation to be at stake also. So with respect to finding quality jobs, employee referral and internal referrals have proved to be quite a strong method of recruitment. So keeping in mind where are the people looking for jobs actively, the question comes, how can the companies take advantage of all these different places and make sure the candidates can be reached out to proactively from the company side without candidates having to go and mine and search for jobs too much to find your company. Additionally, companies can systematically improve the rate of application. So if you think about what is happening on a search engine, more than 300 million job searches are found on the search, are done on a search engine, for example, on Google. And this is an indication about how people search for jobs as well. Both passive as well as active job seekers are on search engines quite often. And it could be that if you position your job in the right place, you might find the right candidate and maybe even have a curious candidate interested in a job, whether he was searching for it or not. 90% of the candidates, they don't apply the first time they see an interesting job. Many of them, they just see an interesting job, they might read it, they might go to the company website once, but they forget to come back, or they just are not interested in coming back. They just move on from there. Attention span has also decreased together with all the new devices and technology. And many of the companies might talk about the quality of hire. As I mentioned earlier, if you do, you need to be able to know which are the best sources that lead to your quality hire. And to know that, you need to be able to measure. What you cannot measure, you cannot know, and what you don't know, you cannot improve. So you really need to think about what is the best way in which I can measure, and what is the best source that gives me the best candidate, and then focus on that best source that gives you the best candidate. This might help to reverse the trend that has been happening. Spending per employee on recruiting itself increased by about 6% in 2011. And this is during the time of a downturn. So we need to be able to improve on this. And just by being able to measure and by knowing better, we can really see exactly which the efficient sources are, which are the efficient parts of our recruiting process, and then take into consideration how we need to channel the recruiting activities in such a way that we use those efficient sources effectively. So just a quick overview. With the network that we have, we increase the likelihood of hire. Not only increase the likelihood of hire, we can also take advantage of the quality hire. And at the same time, measuring all this, we can also decrease the cost of hire. So when we think about all this from a technology perspective, what are the different systems we have in place? We have the Human Resources Information System, which actually has all the employees' information of the company, and also does a lot of activities with regard to all the different processes that touch employees. And this actually serves the employees within a company, the human resources system. Then you have what is called the applicant tracking, the traditional applicant tracking recruiting system, which keep track of not just the internal employees, but also think about the talent out there, and then keeps track of all the recruiting activities that are happening and brings in those related activities, streamlines the recruiting activities, and enables you to have a workflow compliant sort of systematic approach to recruiting process once the candidate has applied for a job. So this caters more to the applicants itself. What is missing today is how do we capture and engage with the candidates? What happens to those people who are not yet applicants, who are all out there, who haven't heard about your jobs? Maybe you post jobs to your website today. Maybe you buy job board postings, buy recruiter licenses on LinkedIn. Everything is adding cost to your recruiting marketing events, hosting campus events, whether you have online events or open house events. You buy recruiter databases, and then you have all the different social networks where you might, if you have time left after all those activities, might dabble in, maybe just publish some feeds and so on. And finally, you may think of having a search engine optimization done if you have any interest after doing all the other activities. What we want to make sure is that you have a systematic approach to the recruiting marketing, so that you know exactly which channel is being used for which kind of recruiting and who is bringing in the right candidate, but also to make it more engagement. As I mentioned, If your candidate drops out in between, then you are losing your quality candidate. And if you're not fast enough with the hire, then again, you're losing your quality candidate. So we want to ensure that you not only think about the recruiting marketing, but you are able to make sure that you have streamlined your recruiting marketing as well as your applicant tracking until the employee is in the organization, so that we are serving not just the employees and the applicants, but we are also serving all the candidates out there, all the talent out there with all the activities that reach out to ensure you get your employees into the organization. That being said, as a recruiter, a lot of things have become complex. As I mentioned, social media has increased complexity. You can tweet the job, post to Monster, search and post on LinkedIn, search CRM, ask for referrals, post on Facebook, Craigslist, send to previous people who applied, post to blogs, stay compliant, measure results. With all this, the recruiter goes crazy. And we help with our recruiting marketing solution, SuccessFactors recruiting marketing solution, to streamline all these activities into different structured formats. So you can address the channels, the different channels and the platforms. You can have a talent community with whom you can engage and reach out to them at the right time. You can have branding and campaigns, or you can publish your job. Job boards still have all those active people out there. You want to still reach out to the active candidates, and you have the social networks. So using all this and by streamlining all this, you have a way in which you can make a recruiter's life much easier. A lot of this can be automated and yet be streamlined. And throughout all these processes, you can report and measure all the different activities before it flows into the normal recruiting process itself. So you're not losing sight of anything that happens before a talent out in the market becomes your applicant. With recruiting marketing, we start right from the beginning. At the time we have a job open, we try to attract those candidates to the jobs. And if you don't have jobs open, you also still can attract those candidates who might just be interested in your company. You can engage with the candidates who are interested in your company and who might have at one point of time been interested but never applied into your company. And finally, you can do the recruiting related activities, which are normally addressed through a recruiting process, whether it's an assessment or whether it's an interview, or whether you want to finally go through an onboarding process and hire the person. And throughout, right from the time of attract until the time of hire, you can measure all the different activities and the complete pipeline and the effectivity throughout. So today we will talk more in terms of attract, engage, and the measure part. What is my business challenge when I think of attracting people? How do I get my jobs in front of the right candidates with the right message at the right time? Why would you want to get the right message at the right time to them? You might have hundreds and hundreds of candidates applying for a job. If they haven't understood your organization, they could apply for a wrong job, which actually is putting you as well as the candidate through a wrong path and increasing the time of hire. Another aspect is they could join the company. Maybe they have misunderstood the job. You have misunderstood the candidate's requirements. They will join the company. They will find there is no culture match, and they might leave the company. And that is also costly. So to avoid all these issues, we want to get the right candidates, but also we want to make sure they get the right message and at the right time. So we have different solutions from SuccessFactors recruiting marketing to enable us to do this. There is the possibility, as I mentioned, with the referral, the referring person knows the candidate, the referring person knows the company, and so they know whether there's a match. So it's possible with the social sourcing and with referral to enable this match to be made and for the candidate as well as the organization to find the right fit. You can also have the smart job publishing and the feeds sent to the candidates in an employer branded fashion so that you can make the candidate understand what the company is about as well. And finally, with the search engine optimization, you get the jobs in front of the candidates just when they are looking for jobs in the search engine. For example, there is the search for Mountain View engineering jobs. Google and Microsoft are in Mountain View. Nevertheless, the first non-paid search result that comes up is that of Microsoft. Microsoft is a SuccessFactors recruiting marketing and an SAP e-recruiting customer. So with the SuccessFactors recruiting marketing search engine optimization technique, they have been able to bring up the jobs as one of the first hits when somebody searches for Mountain View engineering jobs. That is just an example. Another example is optimized Facebook related job feeds. So with these job feeds that feed into the social media, you can have the jobs positioned in the platform where the candidates are most alive today. There are also statistics to say that the maximum time somebody spends, an average amount of time somebody spends per day, active user of Facebook spends per day, could be about 39 minutes at a time. That's a lot. So you can reach out to the candidates using the Facebook and then engage with the candidates using the Facebook as well. So all the jobs can be hardwired into your interactive network. Jobs to web is today called SuccessFactors recruiting marketing. So when I refer to SuccessFactors recruiting marketing, I'm referring to the jobs to web. With the recruiting marketing platform, you can do search engine optimization sitemap. You can feed XML feeds into the into different aggregators, social media networks. You can set up email alerts, do RSS field, manage your spend, have widgets and advertisement placements, as well as do automated routing. After you have learned a bit about which is your best source, you can also set up automated routing in order to enable the major job boards, in order to enable the jobs to be sent to the exact job boards which are efficient for your use. And this could be done per department or per location, depending on how you as a company wants to set that up. Another example of search engine optimization. Normally what has been found out after a lot of learning is people search for words that include the name and the place and the kind of job you're looking for. So Manhattan management jobs. And as soon as you search for it, the first ADP jobs is SuccessFactors recruiting marketing customer. American Express is a SuccessFactors recruiting marketing customer. Manhattan manager jobs from Thomson Reuters, who's a recruiting marketing customer. So if you notice, all these are jobs that come up of recruiting marketing customers on the initial pages. Another aspect is engage better. Why do we want to engage with those candidates? So there are many times when candidates, as I mentioned, 90% of the candidates who start looking at a job may not finish the application. Application processes are sometimes very long and needs a lot of information. So there might be candidates who are not yet ready to apply or who just don't have the time at that moment to finish the application, and they might just want to connect. So in order to reach out to all this, SuccessFactors recruiting marketing has the possibility to set up several different campaigns, have a talent community, have something called a social matcher, and as I mentioned, the right message at the right time. Have customized landing pages. So you might have customized landing pages for your engineering department specific to one medicine because you want to attract some scientists who might want to work on the development of that medicine if you're a pharma company. So those kind of customized landing pages will give exactly an understanding to the candidate about exactly what is this department about, what do they work on, is that the kind of job that I want to do, and those kind of questions can be answered even before the candidate applies. But just in case he decides not to apply and it is a difficult to place job, in that case the company still might have his details in the talent community and he can reach out to this candidate to see whether he might be interested in application or not. And then you can do career site optimization and still have a mobile career site, because mobile is becoming quite one of the strongest mediums for looking for internet-related jobs or other activities. So these are some examples of talent landing pages. So Microsoft has set up a page for women for diversity-related campaigns, and there is the possibility to have social matcher, which I will go into in a minute. So this is an example of a General Motors talent landing page, which is completely branded. As you can see, it gives an example of engineering jobs, and then classifies the engineering jobs according to function as well as location. So you can set it up in all these different kinds of ways. GE aviation jobs, this is another example of a talent landing page, and Intel and so on. Another aspect is we are in EU, in Europe, and there are different kinds of localizations that are required. So, for example, the Pepsi site has been customized to have Russian, and you can have different localized pages also to reach out to the local talent itself. And you can find the jobs in Russian, but also apply into the talent community using the kind of using the language that is relevant for your country. You can also have simple captures. So all these are tracked, so that whenever the candidate searches for the keyword and comes into the talent community, you're tracking exactly which keywords were used and what are the type of searches that have been done. You can also, Microsoft is a customer of SuccessFactors Recruiting Marketing and SAP eRecruiting. You see all the jobs that were created in SAP eRecruiting on the branded website of Microsoft, and then you can go in and you create a very small business card to join the talent community of SuccessFactors Recruiting Marketing before you're handed over into SAP eRecruiting to complete all the applications. So even if a candidate doesn't finish the application in at the time of recruiting, you still have the information about the candidate from the talent community that you have. And as you notice over here, from a data privacy perspective, you can also mark whether it is okay if a recruiter contacts this candidate or not. So if the candidate sets it as it's not okay, then the recruiter will not contact back that candidate also. Another aspect is the social matcher, which I talked about. You can not only try to match your profiles to the jobs available so that you have a better chance of getting that job, but just let us say using the social matcher, I log in using LinkedIn and launch the social matcher. It searches in the database of the company I'm looking in, which are the jobs that will match with my profile, and I don't find anything interesting. But I do know there is somebody else in my network who's searching for a job as well. So I can go in there and look for the jobs that might be interesting for him. And then I think, oh, strategic account executive would be a good job for Peter, and refer the job to Peter. So this kind of employee referral, whether you're an employee or non-employee, is also possible using SuccessFactors Recruiting Marketing. I talked a lot about the talent community. What is important here is that we have a pipeline of talent ready and interested in our company long before a job becomes open. So it might be that somebody comes to your career site, or maybe to Google searching for a SAP job in Hamburg. And when they look for job in January, they come and look for the job, and then they find there are no jobs that are interesting. So they subscribe into the talent community and become a part of the talent community. February comes, still no job. March, no job. April, no job. May, no job. June, no job. And finally, there comes an open job. And this open job is sent to, as a part of the engagement, could be sent to the people in the talent community. And especially if they have set up their feeds, they will receive an email with the job itself. And when they receive this email, they can apply to this open job, and that increases the number of applicants that you have and the number of interested applicants that you have. And interested applicants would mean a faster conversion rate. And using that, you can have the probability of decreasing your fill rate much more, rather than having no applicants or very less applicants for, especially true for difficult to fill jobs or hot jobs. So as I mentioned before, if you don't know what is going wrong, you can't measure it. Or if you don't know what is working very well, you might drop it without realizing, oh, actually that is working. So with SuccessFactors recruiting marketing, there are advanced sourcing analytics that enables you to track the complete funnel right from the time of visits all the way until hire. And you can also compare it to benchmarks, whether it's an industry benchmark or any other benchmark that you want. And you can track it across the different sources that you might have to understand exactly, oh, actually social network is not working because it requires 3,000 visits before I can make one hire. So that is, maybe I need to either stop spending effort on the social networks, or maybe I need to change my strategy for the social networks. You can also track, if you maintain the cost, all the costs for each of the sources, right from time of visit until hire, to understand exactly which efficient source leads to how much of cost, and then take your decisions on whether you want to retain that as a channel for your recruitment or not. So you have the full line of sight analytics with that. Another aspect is some studies with regard to how have the time to fill improved for some of the clients of SuccessFactors recruiting marketing, and I can share with you one of the clients' results. So there was the hires by days to fill during the initial part of the implementation, which if you see over here focused around 30 days, 30 to 60 days, 120 to 365 days. So that was around the time that all the requisitions were being taken to fill with a candidate. So once this was put in place and stabilized, what was found was the hires decreased, the time to fill really decreased much more. And if you see, the graph was more towards the right before, and it moved towards the left. And this is the power of ensuring that you have enough candidates in your pipeline and you are reaching out to candidates exactly where they are. So as a summary of the SuccessFactors recruiting marketing, SuccessFactors optimizes the global recruiting marketing operations together with your applicant tracking system. And recruiting marketing can sit on top of any applicant tracking or recruiting system. You have your recruiting platform, but that may not be enough. You might need to do much more activities in the pre-apply phase to attract the right kind of candidates. And then you might have branded career websites so that the people get the right kind of message and apply for the right kind of jobs. You might want to do some sourcing through your talent community and spread out the message in the different job sites that are effective for you. And the social networks, make efficient use of the social networks. Do search engine optimization, because with about more than 300 million searches happening in Google or Bing, it is becoming a very strong entity to help the candidates to find the right kind of job and to help the candidates find your company. Do the campaigns, whether it's a print campaign or a click campaign, and do referrals, handle events, mobile, internal candidates, and through all this, have a complete view of site through different kinds of following different kinds of recruiting metrics, whether it's brand, visitor traffic, campaigns, activity, converts, capture, cost per apply, time to fill, or any other key performance indicators. And you're not just tracking the efficiency related measures, you're also tracking how much are you spending and the cost related data, so you can take an effective return on investment kind of overview and make your decisions accordingly. So with recruiting marketing, we are bringing recruiting through a full circle. So when you think about the different aspects, you normally recruiting engines cater to the post-apply process, where you might have a job and that job gets pushed into the job boards or to the distribution network, but not in an optimized manner. And with recruiting marketing, we can optimize the complete marketing related activities, whether it is through job board optimization or search engine optimization or social networks optimization, making sure the employer branded talent landing pages are available and there are candidates who can be reached out to, whether these are active candidates or passive candidates, but not just in the internet, but also to the mobile and tablet users through branded job feeds, and also include referral as well as campaigns. And through all this, you get all these candidates to come in who will then apply for your process. And if they drop out, you still have the talent community over here to reach out to if you can't find the right kind of candidate among your applicants in the recruiting system. So with SuccessFactors marketing plus the SuccessFactors recruiting management, we have a new product called SuccessFactors Recruiting Execution that enables companies to put in place the complete recruiting activities that can drive your business execution and make sure it's done efficiently. So with that, I'm at the end of the presentation.
Hey there, how you doing, Paru?
Hi, Mas. I'm just at the end. Do we have any questions?
Yes, if you could just speak up quick. We've gone a little bit quiet again on this end.
Okay.
Thanks again, once again, for your time and another excellent presentation. Could you give us some insight into perhaps the next 12 months into SAP and recruiting? You know, what you guys will be doing yourself, and what we should be looking out for?
So from a 12-month perspective, there are certain aspects that we are going to focus on from SuccessFactors side, as well as from SAP recruiting. So that being said, I must mention about the go-forward strategy with the SuccessFactors acquisition. What we have as SAP done is we have taken into consideration different aspects, and we have what is called a go-forward strategy. With the go-forward strategy, we will make sure that a lot of innovations are done on the go-forward solution. In case of recruiting, that would be SuccessFactors recruiting execution. And that being said, we will continue with selected innovations on SAP recruiting side. As a concrete example, we will start with a Customer Connect program in Q1 2013 to see what are the improvements we should do to the SAP recruiting. Right. So with SAP recruiting, what will come with the Customer Connect program will be driven by customer requests. So at this moment, I will not be able to give you a view of what are the topics that will be covered. We start with the Customer Connect in Q1 2013, so that's around the time we will have a better view. That's on the SAP recruiting side. On the SuccessFactors side, we are going to look into a lot of candidate experience related aspects, whether it is self-scheduling of interviews. And another aspect we are going to look at is social sourcing and collaboration related recruiting. So that is another aspect we are going to look at. So these are the high-level topics that we are going to work on going forward in 2013.
Thanks, Paru. Well, Paru, we've had a couple of questions. Well, we've had quite a lot of questions coming in. Bear me 1 second. I'm just going to work through them.
Mm-hmm.
So let's have a look. We've got Tilak from India actually asking, do you do recruitment for SAP India as well?
Pardon me, I didn't get you, sir.
Do you cover recruitment for SAP India?
I have a global role, yes.
Okay, so Tilak, if you contact Paru direct, we'll be sending out contact details afterwards. You can speak to Paru direct. Next question comes from Dan McKay. What relationship might there be between SuccessFactors penetration and average annual recruitment costs?
Sir, could you repeat that? I didn't get that again.
Yes, of course. What relationship might there be between SuccessFactors penetration and average annual recruitment costs?
I'm not sure I got the question exactly.
Hey Dan, if you want to expand your question to me, I'll post it to Peru. Now, the question from Amy Tannen: what are the top 3 areas that SAP will be focused on in terms of skills?
Okay. I think when you think in terms of skills, I don't know whether you mean finding jobs within SAP or not. So just from an overall perspective of the different strategies of SAP, we have different areas of focus. For example, in-memory, big data is one of the areas of focus. Cloud is another one, which Sven will talk about in the next session. And mobile is another one. So these are some of the areas that you're looking at from a general SAP perspective.
Fabulous.
I'm not sure whether that's, yeah.
Okay. Question for you, from John. How do you see recruitment numbers for 2013? Going up, going down?
I'm sure we are going to see it going up. I mean, if you look at the general industry trend, you can see unemployment is coming down, the jobs are increasing, especially in the US. So from that perspective, it's going to go up, and I'm sure we will see that reflected also in our portfolio as well.
Fabulous, thank you, Peru. I'm just going to check the, we've got a lot of questions coming in, just working through them. A lot of successful positive feedback. Let me see if Dan's come back in with an update. Here we go. Thank you, Dan. It's Dan McKay once again. Does SuccessFactors lower recruitment costs? So I'll say that again, Peru.
Oh, yeah.
Does SuccessFactors lower recruitment costs? If so, how much? Also, why did average recruitment costs rise 6% in 2011 amidst rising unemployment?
Okay, so this was a survey done by Bursin and Associates, from where we got the information about the average recruitment costs rising by 6% in 2011. Dan, if you can drop me a mail, I can give you a bit more of details around that. With regard to how does SuccessFactors recruitment reduce costs, it's more, as I mentioned before, with recruiting marketing and the complete line of sight all the way until the hire, you can see exactly which channels you're spending money on without getting any hires. So, for example, I was at a client yesterday, and they told me that they have 2 or 3 channels where they have been spending thousands of euros, but they haven't had any hire done in the last thousands of euros per month, and they haven't had any hire done in the last 2 years from that channel. So they just happened to notice it. They did not know it before, but they just did one study, and they just happened to notice it. When you put recruiting marketing in place, you will exactly see over a quarterly basis, or decide depending on the frequency you take a look at the analytics, you can exactly see at which point of time which channel is not being used at all. So perhaps for over a time frame of about 3 months, you will see not a single person has come through that channel, and then you can shut down that channel. So using that kind of analytics, you can exactly see where you're spending money, where you're spending time unnecessarily, which agencies are you spending on from where you have not made a hire in the last few months, what is your longest time frame for which phase in your recruiting, and all these will help you bring down your recruitment costs.
Thanks, Peru. That's excellent. For those of you who've asked, Peru's contact details are on the screen now, but what we're going to do after the presentation, we'll be sending out contact details along with the presentation itself and also a replay. So Peru, thank you very much. And for those who are online, thank you, Peru, very much.